Hello and welcome back to the Bionicle Inspiration Series. It's me, your host, Ben Cossy, and today it's episode 220 of the Bionicle Inspiration Series, and you know what that means, or you might not. Every 10th episode, what we do is we focus on fan-submitted MOCs. So how do you submit your MOCs, you might be asking? Well, check out the email that's currently on your screen right now. You can also read it in the description below. Basically, all you have to do is send some images, whatever information you want to put in the email, you then send that to me. And every 10 episodes, I will do a fan-submitted MOCs episode where I focus on 10 fan-submitted MOCs. But I also like to include some of these fan-submitted MOCs in just some of the normal episodes. So it's completely up to you. If you want to submit stuff, feel free to do so. That is the only way to submit MOCs. However, please don't message me on my other social media. I'll just tell you to email me. It's just so it's all in one place and I can keep track of it. But feel free to just message me normally on my social media and just say hi, because I'm happy to chat. Anyway, what we do here on the Bionicle Inspiration Series is we showcase Bionicle MOCs from the community to inspire you. Normally we have some sort of theme and we say, hey, check out this cool stuff that these people built and what sort of stuff are they doing. I offer some tips, tricks, and advice, all that sort of stuff to, inspire you. So let's get those inspiration and creative juices flowing. Let's move on to the very first MOC. It's by Astraios and it is called Astraios. So I think this is a fantastic little MOC here, and I've certainly told Mr. Ezreal that before, but I wanted to talk about it in an episode. I adore the arm design on this MOC. I think the choice to use some of that sort of, I don't know, it's kind of trans clear, and it's also kind of trans blue, but it has this kind of frosted look to it. This really interesting tubing. It comes on a bunch of different sets in a bunch of different colors. The same piece comes in that same sort of frosted, translucent color and instead of blue, it's sort of more of a lime color as well. It's a really interesting piece, and it's so interesting to see it here being used like this, where it's just wrapped around what I assume is just a kind of larger Technic beam with some of those sort of interesting gears, those kind of G2 gears on either end there to really lock it in place and actually insert it into the arm design. But it's so cool to see it all wrapped up like that because, well, kind of for multiple reasons. I really like it because, one, it's just cool. I think it makes a really nice texture, the way it sort of wraps around like that. It kind of looks like sort of, I don't know, energy or some elemental power kind of coursing through their body or sort of wrapping itself around the arm like some sort of excess energy or some sort of power attack. But it also creates this really interesting color. It kind of is trans blue, but like I said, it has that frosted look to it. It almost looks like a totally different color. And so that's something just that really grabbed me with this MOC is, initially when I sort of first took a glance at it, I was like, what color is that? But, when you take a deeper look, it all makes sense, So I think that's just awesome to be kind of really playing with color, playing with texture, and using some pieces in some really nice ways. And speaking of color, I think the trans orange highlights on this MOC as well really, really pop. Trans orange and that beautiful trans blue, those work so well together. And I think it's surprisingly rare to see a translucent color be such a dominant color on a MOC. It's just not something I don't know, it's not something that's done this well, at least in my opinion here. So it's just great to see, and I love it. Use more trans orange, guys. It's a great color and looks great with blue. So there you go. Obviously, there's little bits of black thrown in there as well, but I don't know, black's kind of just one of those colors that you can just kind of throw it in there. It kind of goes with everything. So it's a nice little addition there. Really, really solid color scheme throughout this MOC here. I also like the general shaping of the torso on this MOC, using that sort of like, I don't know, triangular shape at the sort of where the pecs would normally be on the torso there. There's just kind of something nice about it, It doesn't necessarily communicate anything or say anything, but just looks cool. And sometimes, the rule of cool, that's enough to go off. So I really like that. I also really like this photo here where he has weapons in all of his hands, because there's something kind of wonderfully absurd about that, but in a good way. I don't mean that in an insulting way by any means. I think that this sort of just plethora of weapons here is somewhat ludicrous, but that's what makes it cool. It kind of reminds me of General Grievous in the original Clone Wars Star Wars series, the Gennady Tartakovsky Clone Wars, where he's fighting with lightsabers in all of his hands, and then he's like, I'm gonna pick one up with my foot, because why not? And yeah, it's slightly silly, but it's actually really badass at the same time. So I like the fact that he has 6 arms, and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna fight you with 6 weapons. I think that's great. I think it's just an awesome, clever way to do it, and it makes sense. Why wouldn't he? He has 6 arms. He's a master of the 6-armed sword technique. Why not? It's great. And these trans blue swords with a really cool sort of spiked edge like that, beautiful. Lovely little design. So, love your work, good sir. Let's move on now to the next MOC. This is built by Inhuman Builds, and it's called Blood Cultist. So what's cool about this mock is it takes a lot of inspiration from another very talented builder known as Eclipse Caller. This is the original mock here is called kind of Ghastly Cultist, is what I believe the name is. And this mock in itself is also absolutely lovely. I may as well briefly talk about this, but obviously the Blood Cultist will be the focus here. Obviously, Eclipse Caller's mock here has this really awesome lantern design there, using a bunch of those Exoforce robot arm pieces. That's the time that you take a drink if you're playing the Biss drinking game, which doesn't exist. I just made it up, but I mention those pieces in every episode. It may as well be a drinking game. But fantastic little lantern design. Really adds a kind of creepy factor to this. Looks like some guy who's on the graveyard shift or something that's in some horror fantasy movie where zombies are going to come out or whatever. And seeing that he's a cultist, it seems quite fitting for that. The limb design using a bunch of what I believe are like inverted tire pieces. Really interesting, unique texture. Looks amazing. And all the different cloth elements, really cool. And that head design, which let's go back to Blood Cultist here because I think that's quite a bit of the inspiration there. I adore this head design. And obviously props go to Eclipse Caller, but it's cool to see it in red here as well. Just the inclusion of all these different body, limb, kind of tail pieces that appear on a plethora of different things and in a plethora of different colors and shapes and sizes as well. They're so cool there. They look so cool. I love that as a head design. It's this weird, just sort of mesh, weird kind of texture to it. I don't know. The fact that this is a cultist, it could be some sort of helmet or robe or just, I don't know, some kind of craziness. I love it. I think there's something so wonderfully unique and horrific about it that it's just so appropriate for, what this mock is trying to communicate. Some sort of horrific, evil-looking cult dude. It's awesome. It's really, really cool. So I love that design, and I love the sort of hunched, robed look that they have as well. It does seem very fitting for that of a cultist. I also like that he has a butt cape. Nothing wrong with a good butt cape. Again, fits with the cultist vibe. I also enjoy his staff, the fact that he's used those quasar spikes, the three little sort of prongs. There's only two, isn't there? I'm mixing up that Chima feather piece. The two quasar spikes there, naturally they had that kind of marbled texture to them, that kind of black and red. And to me, I always thought it kind of looked like they were soaked in blood, which, if he's a cultist dude, he's probably doing some evil dark magics and sacrificing things and stabbing people. I don't know, doing what cultists do. And, I think it's a perfect choice for that, especially since his name is Blood Cultist. It's certainly fitting. But also, let's talk about the elephant in the room. The fact that this is essentially just a red version of Eclipse Caller's mock. Nothing wrong with that at all. I love that. One of my favorite things as a kid was buying Transformers that had a different color scheme. It was the exact same character, but it had another color scheme. And it was like, it's his brother. Or there was some, canon storyline behind it, but it was like, no, this is him in his ultimate form because he's a different color or black, whatever. I always thought that was really fun as a kid. Or it's like collecting shiny Pokemon in Pokemon. It's exciting, but they're just a different color. There's actually a lot of appeal to that, at least in my opinion. And I also love the community kind of flair with this mock of it being like, hey, Eclipse Caller, I love what you did. I'm going to build my own version of it, and I'm going to tweak it and make it my own, whether that's through the color scheme or, hey, he used different tires on his legs that Eclipse Caller used, or he changed up the concept, giving him this cool-looking kind of ribcage design or giving him a butt cape, all sorts of cool stuff like that. So, by all means, maybe you can ask permission or, maybe you could, as long as you credit the original builder, there's no reason you can't go to your favorite Lego builder and just build your own version of the mock. Don't just straight out copy it. Make it your own. Add some flair to it. Change up the color scheme. Do whatever, because I think there's a beautiful sense of community to that. And look at this mock. It's great. It's awesome. So, and also that's such a good way to get a bit of inspiration too. Look at your favorite stuff and see if you can make it your own. So, love that. Love that a lot. Good job to both of these builders here, how they've expanded upon this character. It's awesome. Or this concept of a character, at least. I'm sure there's multiple cultists. So, yeah, love your work. Let's move on to someone else who I very much love. It's Mr. Buttloaf Builds, and this is called The Shadow That Guards the Gate. But also, you can kind of call this mock Makuta Pterodax, because that's what he said in this submission email. He said that this was his own take on Makuta Pterodax. So, for those of you who may not know, Makuta Pterodax, of course, is the main bad guy in the Bionicle storyline. And obviously, he had, multiple different interpretations depending on, where it was in the story and how he looked, but most of them were a more sort of humanoid shape. I love the idea of reimagining Pterodax as a big old dragon, because you look at a lot of different fantasy stuff, Dungeons and Dragons, movies, storytelling, myth, fable. Often dragons are the big bad evil guy at the end of the story, and that's always, a really fun concept or trope to explore, isn't it? So I love the idea of making Makuta Pterodax a big old dragon because it just seems so fitting, especially with the sort of deep, rich lore of Bionicle. It sort of naturally lends itself to that kind of myth and fable of other storytelling. So I love that. Yeah, great idea. I think also too, yeah, very similar to the Blood Cultist mock there. What a great idea to just reimagine characters that already existed before in the Bionicle storyline and make them your own. Change up the way that they look or way that they could look, It's a great idea. Some other stuff on this mock that really pops, just in general, the head design. I love the idea of using a Lego snake element as the tongue. The fact that it has a weird texture to it and that kind of crazy snake shape, perfect. Perfect for a tongue. It seems quite fitting for a very, very evil character and quite fitting for a dragon, of course, as well. It also has used that really cool new dragon sort of jaw piece that comes on a few sets, comes on that very recent teal Ninjago dragon, but it also comes on this, I believe it's called the Overlord dragon in a fairly recent Ninjago set. Pretty cool set, comes a lot of purple. Purple's always a lovely color, and some dark blue as well. Ooh, lots of nice colors on that set. I'm getting distracted by looking at a set. But really cool to see that piece being used here on this head design because, well, it works well. And you know what? It's a dragon jaw piece. If it ain't broke, put it on your mock as a dragon jaw piece. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. May as well use what the sets do. Looks great. Also love the eye design. Looks like he's done some sneaky edits there on Photoshop to make them really pop and glow. Great idea. And just in general, the shape of this dragon head is beautiful. Just the way that he's used some interesting like tail pieces and armor pieces from Nuparu Mari, I believe. The arm pieces, I believe they were. Just the way that they're sort of interlocked together to form the general shape of this dragon head. Stunning. Amazing. Brilliant looking dragon head. Some other dragon things that I like here is the wing design, using some of these Technic panel pieces there to form this very kind of wyvern-like dragon wing design there. Looks phenomenal. Great way to do the wings. And one other thing I wanted to talk about with this, because I really do like it, take a look at the torso. There's some nice tubing and other brilliant shaping there, but there's these two like rubber bands in like blue and red. It kind of looks like wires. I don't know. But part of me kind of sees it as, Bionicle, the kind of biomechanical of it all. And it kind of reminds me of, again, myth and storytelling, where it's like, the only way to defeat the dragon because it has an impenetrable hide is you have to find the loose scale on its body and stab underneath the scale to really kill the beast. And so I kind of like the idea that maybe that's what that is. There's a sort of bit of exposed wiring that's loose, and, the only way to kill Pterodax is to stab him through the heart, right where the armor's exposed. I don't know if that's the point or not there. I hope it is, because I love that idea. And if it's not, I'm sure Ari has come up with a great idea, and there's a great justification for that. But you know what? I also like that it's left open, because it gets me thinking. It's good. It's really good. So yeah, love your work, good sir. A lot of really cool stuff explored on this mock here, and a great way to reimagine good old Terry the Pterodax. Terry the Pterodactyl. Can someone make Pterodax as a pterodactyl? There's a good idea. We're just full of inspiration today, guys. All right. Let's move on to the next mock. This is called Kalmar The Cleaver. And this is by, I was already getting tongue-tied by his name here. Glubololo goes to hell. I'm sorry that you're going to hell, good sir. But hey, check out this cool mock. So, what I love about this guy here is just how kind of over the top it is, but in the best possible way. Very much reminds me of just, I don't know, any kind of TV show, anime, cartoon, whatever, where you do see the big bad evil dude or some sort of kaiju or whatever, where it is laden with spikes, claws, teeth, weapons. It's huge. It's got multiple arms and legs and whatever. It's just a sight to behold. You know what I mean? So why not, if you're going to build a Bionicle, just go to town. I remember when I was a kid, like really early days of wanting to build mocks. This is probably like 2004 or like, I don't know, early 2000s, early Bionicle I'm talking here. I remember being so excited about, I want to build my own Bionicle. And you know what? He's going to be the biggest, coolest dude ever. He's going to be this awesome monster with 3 heads, 17 arms, and a cape, I think there's something really intrinsically fun about that, about wanting to build something that is just over the top, big, powerful, strong, And I think this fits the mold with that perfectly. Laden with really cool Brutaka blades, easily one of the coolest blade pieces. Fight me if you disagree. Please don't fight me, we can all get along. But I love that weapon piece, it looks cool here. He's, slightly General Grievous inspired. I know, he's got multiple limbs. That's always the comparison we make there. But, multiple arms is cool. General Grievous is cool. It's cool in general. Very heavily armored, so he's buff, he works out, he does P90X, he does whatever, he lifts weights, he lifts, all that sort of stuff. It's very fitting, very cool. And just in general, I don't know, it's just got a really nice silhouette to it. I love that he's got all the different spikes around his head, black phantom mask and the gunmetal there. It's awesome. A lot of good stuff working on this one here. So that is my ode, my bardic tale that I will spread to you. When you're next building, do it. Go ham. Give it multiple limbs. Make it buff. Make it huge. Go to town. Have fun. Because bigger is better. Sometimes. So enjoy. Have fun. Yeah. So that's that awesome mock. Let's move on to this mock here. This is by Kane Fletcher, and this is called Spawn of Hell. So what immediately grabbed me about this is this dude's cool weapon shield thingamajig. Essentially, he has this cool weapon, which kind of also looks like a shield. It's kind of multi-purpose here. But there's just a dead body on it. Because, this guy's name is the Spawn of Hell. I'm sure he's done a lot of killing in his time. He's not a nice dude. But he's gone, hey, I slayed this enemy, and you know what? I'm going to wear him as a trophy on my shield. He's probably got some good armor as well, the dead guy. So he probably offers some good protection as well. But what a great idea, And what a great way to show people, hey, don't mess with me. I will literally put you as a shield on my weapon. Don't fight me. I think it's a really interesting concept. And hey, you could maybe do something very similar yourself if you wanted to. It's obviously a little bit more macabre, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to build macabre stuff in Bionicle. Nothing wrong with that at all. Really cool head design on this mock as well. I like the inclusion of that little, kind of almost like a tongue. I don't know, I saw it as like the Venom tongue, very similar to that perhaps, He is a Spawn of Hell. I'm sure he's got some weird, crazy long tongue, maybe some teeth under there as well, But yeah, I think he's pretty cool. And overall, I think just a general kind of nice aesthetic to this guy in general. Really do like him. So good work, good sir. Let us now move on to the next mock here. This is by AJ Red 17, and this is called Hordika Dragon. So let me go to Biosector and read a little bit of the backstory about Hordika Dragon. It should really be an S after that Hordika Dragon because there are multiple of them. But I guess this is one singular Hordika Dragon, so it kind of makes sense. But this is a real-life character. I'll show you what it's based off in a hot second here, but let me read to you what it says on Biosector. Some time ago, a group of Vizirac stumbled upon Udina. They were captured, and they had their venom analyzed. The Shadowed One, the leader of the Dark Hunters, later tested the venom's properties on 8 of his Dark Hunters. He mutated them and turned them into beasts known as Hordika Dragons. What a crazy man the Shadowed One is. What an evil, mad scientist. However, kind of a cool concept, isn't it? And it's an official, character, creature thing from the Bionicle world, which, is a story filled with lore and, rich storytelling and stuff. So a lot that you can certainly get some inspiration from if you did want to look into it. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool indeed. And hey, by the way, if you like Bionicle stories, I bet you're wondering why I posted this episode early. Maybe you should stay tuned for later this weekend because I might just have a surprise related to storytelling. You'll have to wait and see what that's all about. Anyway, enough of that. What was I just saying? Teasers? You just have to wait. Anyway, Hordika Dragon. So here's what it originally looked like. Certainly, this was a product of the time, certainly made a long, long time ago, not in a galaxy far, far away, right here on Earth. But it uses a lot of the pieces of the time, a lot of the techniques of the time. And I think it's great that Mr. AJ Red here has reimagined this dragon using more modern techniques and more modern pieces, but actually still kept the main sort of basic spirit of this creature. We recently did a Dark Hunter episode here on the Bionicle Inspiration series, and we spoke a lot about the Dark Hunters. A lot of people these days, if they are making a Dark Hunter from the original Bionicle story, they like to reimagine it in their own sort of spiritual style and maybe deviate a little bit from the original source material. But I like how similar this one is here, even from a very similar color scheme, and just the general shaping of it is just quite close. I think the general head design is gorgeous. I love the inclusion of the eyes being what appears to be like a little small piece of flex tube. And the fact that the edges there use these cool jumper pieces from, they're kind of jumper heads from the little jumper characters from Invasion from Below. Great way to use those parts because they have that nice sort of curve to them, and it just sort of nicely inserts on the sides of that head there. Some other lovely little system pieces thrown in there on the top of the head there. Really nice kind of curvature and general kind of shape to them there. It's, I think, quite gorgeous. And some other stuff that kind of really grabs me about this here mock. I quite like the little T-Rex hands that he's got there. I like the fact that he's kind of made them a little bit small, a little bit thinner. You can kind of see him just I don't know, getting stuck on something, trying to grab the TV remote, and he's just struggling because he doesn't have big hands. There's something kind of cute about that. But there's also something, tyrannical and beast-like about that at the same time, which I think is quite fitting for the story that we just read as well. So I also quite enjoy that. But yeah, I think, again, what a great idea to take a look at the Bionicle storyline, reimagine some of those old classic characters there and really give them new life. I also quite enjoy, because the original one had that Ratuka spinner, I believe that's what they were called, the spinners that the Visorak had on their backs. It's also got one there, but it's a more sort of updated one using some more recent Ninjago weapon pieces and things. It looks pretty cool. It certainly looks like a bit more kind of like venomous and sort of more kind of natural that you might see on the back of some sort of predator in the Bionicle world. Whereas I feel like the originally Ratuka spinners looked more like a play feature on a toy to a degree. Nothing wrong with that, of course. I'm not bagging on the original ones there, but I like that he's reimagined it to seem just that little bit more. And it kind of also looks like a wind turbine. I don't know, it kind of reminded me of like the stinger on a scorpion's tail, which is also kind of what those were to a degree. So I think that's pretty cool. The wing design's quite nice. It's just a lot to like about this MOC. I quite enjoyed the tail too, that really sort of interesting kind of Y-like shape that it sort of branches out at the end there. It's just really nice. He's a little bit more stout and short. He's cute, He might have been mutated by some crazy weird venom, but you know what? He's adorable. So, really cool MOC there, Mr. AJ Red 17. Good job. Let's move on now to the next MOC. This is built by Guy, and this is called Dragon Rider. So Guy and his dad, I believe his name was Matt, sent me an email. He said, hey, my son Guy, he's 11 years old, and we like your channel, so I like you guys. Thank you for liking my stuff. And he said, hey, we built this together, and we wanted to put it on the show. And I said, oh, of course you will be put on the show, good sir, because you're 11 years old, and you built this. This is absolutely phenomenal, good sir. I love this. I think there's some fantastic details here. Just the general kind of shape of this dragon here. The fact that it's so, it looks so agile and slim. There's not a lot of armor to it. There's something very kind of like bat-like or very kind of raven-like to it. To me, I just get these images of it flying through the air and darting at quite a fast speed because it is so sort of slim and slender. And the way that its wings do look a little bit more bat-like and almost sort of skeletal at the same time there. It's quite gorgeous. And the wing design in itself is also phenomenal. The way you've used the boat studs to connect all the different attachments there. It's really, really nice. So yeah, overall, a really solid-looking design to this dragon here and a really sort of brilliant kind of character that's forming as a result, just the way that you've built it and your choices with the specific pieces you've used there. So love your work. And again, great techniques in the wings. I like the choice to include that sort of nougat-colored flex tube there as sort of like the saddle that the little rider is holding there. We kind of actually see that piece being used for that exact purpose in other sets. But you know what? If it's not broke, there's no need to fix it. Great idea to use that, But by all means, I think that I myself do it when I'm building. I'm sure other people do, but I'll just talk for myself here. There's times that you get so obsessed when you're building that you're like, I've got to come up with a new technique or it's got to be unique and different and blah. Sometimes you can just do what's simple and obvious and it works really well. And I think that's a great example of that. And it's kind of a new piece to a degree. It's within the last decade at least, or last sort of 3-4 years or whatever. So I don't know. I always just like seeing sort of more new pieces being used in MOCs. It's just something that puts a smile on my face with that. So it's nice to see it here. The general head design of the dragon's lovely. I like the choice to include those claw pieces as the eyes. Great little, I don't know, just the fact that they're quite small like that. There's a nice little piercing quality to them. It's very nice. And this nice little photo here of the little dude petting the dragon's head. That's nice. Also, the little dude's really cute, little short limbs and stuff. He's small, but he's powerful, Much like you, Guy, Mr. 11-year-old awesome dude. Love your work. This is a really solid MOC. So, hey, keep building. And by all means, submit some more stuff because I'd love to see where you go in the future. Good work, good sir. And hello to Matt as well, Guy's dad. Anyway, let's move on to the next MOC here. This one is Naira. And it's built by Naira, if that's how you pronounce the name. I'm going to say it is. So what I like about this is quite a lot, honestly. I really enjoy the sword. The choice to include those trans green kind of dish pieces there kind of reminds me of like Doctor Strange magic, how he has those cool, like kind of dish things that he uses as magic, like you see in the MCU and stuff. Yeah, it kind of looks like this sword might be like magically enchanted with some sort of like runic magic or something, which I think is really cool. Or he's just got some cool trans green discs on his shield. But I don't know. That's what I saw when I looked at it, is that sort of magically enchanted shield. I think that's awesome. Some other stuff that's awesome. He's got a belt. trans green belt with a little Ninjago like printed rounded tile on there as well. Awesome. Love little accessories on Bionicles like that. Even in this photo here, he's holding a Zamisphere, you know. Maybe he's conjuring up some sort of magical ball of some kind and some sort of attack, or he's just got a cool orb. Well, whatever, but it looks cool, you know. I like little accessories like that on Bionicles. It's just a fun little detail. Another fun little detail is the beautiful cloths. You know I enjoy a good cloth on a Bionicle, but this one's a little bit more unique. Uses the nice little waist cape here. This is from this specific Ninjago set, 70736, and it is called Attack of the Moro Dragon. But you could read that picture. I didn't need to say that aloud, but I did anyway. But hey, beautiful wing design on this dragon here, and just a really nice cloth design in general, you know. And I'm starting to critique the Lego set now, but what I'm trying to say is it's a lovely piece. And it's great to see it here being kind of flipped to a degree. You know, obviously the one side of it has that pattern, the other side's a little bit more sort of green like that. So it's cool to see it not being used as a wing design, for it to be the sort of like tattered cape of sorts that has a more unique color and a more unique pattern to it. Beautiful. Absolutely lovely. So yeah, really, really solid work there, good sir. Hey, he's also got some cool wing designs. Which, you know, we saw some good wings before, seeing more good wings now. And just in general, really cool mock. And it uses a trans green cow. I can just drop the mic and end it there because it's a trans green cow. I love me my cows, and I don't see enough trans green ones being used on mocks. So that's enough to make my day. Anyway, next mock now. This is by Grax the Wanderer, and this is called Amby. I love this. This reminds me of some sort of military sniper who's put on like camouflagey stuff so that no one will spot them. But it also, you know, because it's got this cool like dragon helmet thing, kind of also looks like some sort of crazy druid who has, you know, slain some beast and taken different things from nature like bark and bones and different stuff and created armor with it. It's this really lovely mesh of just like modern day fighters and sort of medieval fantasy fighters all kind of rolled into one there. I think it's gorgeous. So just straight up, I love the inclusion of all these interesting grass pieces here, this dragon head element from some of the old Viking sets. It looks like they've constructed armor out of just things they've found in the wild. It's quite lovely. And the awesome gun design here, using that brown arch piece, a system Lego piece there, just for the bottom bit of the gun. As I've always said, I don't know my gun terminology very well. I'm sure you guys know what that is. If not, you can let me know. But really lovely part use there, and just in general, a really solid looking gun as well. And I think it really perfectly complements the character and the aesthetic that the character has as well. And I think that's always a sign of a really good weapon, that it says something about the character as well. So it's something to note, of course. I also quite enjoy the general face design, the fact that they've got that sort of like, I don't know, protective helmet, that sort of heads-up display thing, whatever you want to call it. And the interesting like kind of breathing apparatus thing, whatever that is. Looks cool, you know? So in general, a really, really awesome character, really unique general character design to it as well, which I adore. I don't know if that sort of stuff that I said, the druid, the military dude, I don't know if that was the inspiration for this, but it certainly conjures that up in my head, and well, I really do like it. So good job, sir. Last mock now, this is by Joxon, and this is called Hear No Evil. So I believe him and a few other builders did a See No Evil and a Speak No Evil mock as well, for the whole saying thing. But you're going to have to check the links in the description to check those other ones out, because, hey, please check out the stuff that these builders did. They're very talented, and they deserve some love. But what else was I going to say? This is a cool mock. I'm just trying to read over my notes. I accidentally closed it on my computer. I just got it back up. We're all safe and good. So what do I like about this? I probably didn't even need my notes. I know what I like about this mock. Cool musical note pieces. You don't see those being used in mocks that often. They're a relatively new piece. They appeared in some of the Trolls Lego sets, like this one here. It's lovely. I think that little detail there that you can clearly tell he's listening to music because there's some music notes behind him. Chef's kiss. Gorgeous. Love it. Really, really fun little detail. Really fills this mock with character. I mean, also the beautiful posing that he's in, the fun little face design there. The character is just, I don't know, it says so much and has such a strong personality behind it too. It's lovely. But my favorite thing on the head design, hot dog face, inverted little hot dog piece there, works perfectly for a little monkey mouth. Gorgeous. Love it. Big old comical headphones like that too. That's so fun. I'm going to circle back to that. I'm jumping ahead here, but it looks really cool. And just in general, I think that's a fun, really, really fun concept of this dude who's so engrossed in his music that he doesn't spot the evil dude behind him, but maybe that's a good thing, you know? Another fun little detail on this is the jeans that this guy's wearing. You might be like, that's not a real Lego piece. Oh, but it is. So this comes on a Belleville set. There's a couple variations of different jeans that come across a few different Lego sets at the same time. So here's sort of one option of it, but there's also this Belleville set that had some jeans in it, which I believe those are different to the one I just showed you. But there are official Lego jeans. I actually physically have some in my collection, so I promise you they're real. But great to see them being used here and used so well at the same time. So that's awesome. I said I'd circle back to those headphones. So they're comically large, which is fun. And also kind of the beast behind has very comically large, to put that together for some reason. I don't know why I split that word up. Very comically large claws, teeth, eyes, all that sort of stuff. And it's very kind of caricature of it to look that way. You look at those sort of like street artists that draw kind of caricature stuff where it's, they draw you and your family, but maybe they enlarge the teeth on your dad or they give you really big glasses or whatever, It's that sort of style of drawing or making art where you enlarge parts of the body that sort of say something about that person. So, on this beast guy here, they're meant to be scary and evil. So you give them big claws, big teeth, big solid red eyes like that. And you can really seriously tell they're evil because all the really evil parts, the things that they would use to hurt someone or be evil, are enlarged. So you really kind of draw your attention towards that and it helps communicate character. Same thing with those headphones there. They've got really big headphones and it's obvious that this guy's so engrossed in his music that he has comically large earphones, So maybe when you're building your characters, can you enlarge a specific part of their body to really kind of say something about who they are? Maybe they're a gladiator that's fought for millions of years, so they've got a really big sword, and that can show that, they're a bit of a fighter. Or, you can play around with some other unique stuff as well. Maybe you're going to build a beaver mock and you give them massive teeth. I don't know. It's up to you. You got to play around with it. You got to have a think about it. I can't do all the work for you, but that might be something you could do to approach a really unique character design. Up to you. But anyway, love this mock, love this concept. Brilliant character design and brilliant little usages of different pieces here. Some more obscure pieces, some more recent pieces too. Love your work, Jockson. And that's it for this episode of the Bionicle Inspiration Series. I hope you very much enjoyed this slightly early episode. Like I said, stay tuned for an extra special surprise this weekend. And hey, if you want to stay tuned for more stuff, check the links in the description below. I've got my own social media there. You can check out some of the other stuff I've got going on over there. And additionally, you can check the links in the description to the mocks that you saw in today's episode. So you can check out some of the other stuff these builders have done. Of course, this is a Fancy Bit of Mocks episode. Not everyone's social media is in the links below because people didn't always give me their social media, but most of the people have their social media there, so be sure to check it out. Additionally, if you would like to support me on my Patreon, you can have access to weekly podcasts over there and some other fun little bonus content like my private Discord server and behind-the-scenes fun little stuff. So be sure to check that out if you're interested, but I'm not going to force you to do that, only if you wish to do so, but I appreciate all the support. And what's the other thing? The submission email, but I already said that, so go back to the start of the episode if you want to hear how to submit your mocks, but I say it in every episode. It's in the description below. You'll find it. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. I hope you very much enjoyed. Happy building, and bye for now.